What if I told you that the one thing she wanted most was the one thing you gave her the least? You might think that silence leaves you powerless, that stepping back makes her forget you, or worse, lose interest. But in reality, silence is your secret weapon, a weapon so powerful, it's exactly what makes her crave you even more. The pain you're feeling, the void left by her absence, is not a sign of weakness. It's the very thing that can reshape you into a man she never thought she'd lose. By choosing silence, you've done more than give her space. You've regained control. Control is not about saying the right things at the right time. It's about mastering yourself and owning your power. Now, if you're ready to turn your silence into strength, hit the like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below, "I control my emotions, not the world." Let's dive in. Number 1. The power shift begins in silence. Is a reason your silence hits harder than any text you could send. When a woman pulls away, ignores your messages, delays her replies, leaves things open-ended, she's not always seeking closure. Sometimes she's testing control. She wants to see how far she can stretch your emotions without breaking the thread of your attention. But here's where your power begins. You don't respond. You don't chase. You go quiet, and that silence doesn't just confuse her, it confronts her. In a world that thrives on noise, on reaction, on impulsive emotion, silence becomes your loudest statement. The absence of your words becomes the presence of your strength. She starts to ask herself questions. Is he done? Did he stop caring? Why isn't he reacting the way he used to? These aren't questions you have to answer. Your silence already is. The Stoics knew this well. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." You cannot control her distance, but you can control your own discipline. When you step back, you're not retreating, you're reclaiming. You're shifting the dynamic without uttering a word. Here's the opportunity. Every time she expects a reaction and doesn't get one, you reset the power balance. You're no longer playing her game, you've stepped outside of it. That move alone forces her to question the rules she thought she had control over. She wanted attention, you gave her silence. That changes everything. What should you do? Hold the line. Do not explain. Do not justify. Focus inward. Pour your attention into your own life, your purpose, your health, your vision. Let your silence echo through her expectations. Let it disturb her pattern. That's when she'll feel the shift, not through what you say, but through what you no longer offer freely. The psychological impact is simple but devastating. When you remove yourself as her predictable source of validation, she loses her sense of control. She begins to feel the tension of uncertainty. She begins to regret. And it all started because you chose discipline over reaction. Now, speak out and comment below. I control my mind, no one else does. Number 2, she tried to bend you, not lose you. Sometimes when a woman pulls back, delays her replies, or tests your patience, it's not because she wants you gone, it's because she wants to see if you'll break. She wants to know how much control she holds. Can she wound you without consequences? Can she trigger you into chasing, explaining, pleading? The truth is, she never intended to lose you. But when you choose to stay calm, to hold your silence, to walk away without drama, you flip the script completely. She wanted emotional proof that you still cared, proof that she could still bend your boundaries and remain untouchable. What she didn't count on was your ability to say nothing, to withhold your reaction, to remain unmoved. And that silence, that's what tells her everything she needs to know. She didn't break you. The Stoics taught that strength lies in composure, as Marcus Aurelius put it. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. In other words, stop trying to prove your worth through reaction. Show it by remaining centered in the face of emotional chaos. Your calm withdrawal says more than any heated argument ever could. It communicates that you are not someone who can be manipulated with games, and that realization shifts the dynamic completely. Here's the opportunity. When you walk away without a word, you make her confront the cost of her behavior. She doesn't get to provoke a response and still feel secure in your attachment. You force her to sit with the silence she created and realize that you were never hers to control. What should you do? Stay still. Don't break the silence to satisfy her curiosity. Let your absence reveal her miscalculation. Let your quiet be the mirror she has to look into. Focus that energy on refining your body, your mindset, your purpose. Because your growth is the clearest message that you've outgrown her tests. Psychologically, this has a devastating effect. When someone expects to poke and prod without consequence and is instead met with unwavering calm, they lose their power. They realize the game is over, not because you lost, but because you refused to play. Now, ask yourself, are you her pawn, or are you your own man? If you've chosen the latter, drop a comment below. She didn't break me, she lost me. Number 3. Stop feeding the flame. Withdraw your attention. In relationships, especially those teetering on imbalance, attention becomes currency. She posts something vague, maybe a story with another guy, maybe a song lyric designed to sting, and she watches, not to see if you understand her pain, but to see if you'll react. Because your reaction is the fuel. Your attention is what keeps her control alive. But the moment you go silent, the moment you stop watching, liking, replying, you cut off the oxygen, and that fire, it starts to die. The Bundal Epiphany, this isn't cruelty, this is clarity. The Stoics remind us that where we place our focus determines our peace. Epictetus said, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. She wants you to bite, to show that she still has a hold on you. But when you choose not to respond, you send a louder message. You're done playing her game. Think of it like a machine that only runs when fed tokens. Every time you react, text back, question her, try to decode her behavior, you're dropping another coin in. You keep the game running. But when you walk away, when you choose silence over emotional submission, the machine grinds to a halt. She's left staring at a blank screen that used to be you. Here's the opportunity. Reclaim your focus, reclaim your time. Your attention is one of your most valuable resources, and she doesn't get unlimited access to it, especially not when she uses it for manipulation. Every moment you withhold your energy from her games, you redirect it toward your own life, toward your strength, toward your healing. What should you do? Start paying attention to where your attention goes. If it's being wasted on decoding her Instagram stories or over-analyzing her last text, cut it off. Cold. Replace that impulse with something that builds you. Go for a run, read something powerful, make progress. The silence you give her is not emptiness. It's space she can no longer invade. Psychologically, this disarms her. She no longer feels like she's in control. She begins to doubt her hold on you. And that quiet withdrawal? That's when she starts to notice the shift. That's when you become the one with the power. If you're done fueling her fire, say it with certainty below. My attention is mine, and she doesn't own it anymore. Number 4. Rediscovering rarity. Becoming the prize. Again. Sometimes, when you give too much of yourself, too often, too easily, people forget what they have. You were the consistent one, the steady voice, the calming presence, but over time your reliability became invisible. She started treating your loyalty as a given, not a gift. And the truth is, she didn't stop valuing you because you weren't worthy. She stopped valuing you because you were always there, readily available, predictable. The Stoics understood the danger of excess. Too much of anything, even something good, can dull its value. Marcus Aurelius said, "What is not good for the hive is not good for the bee." When you give endlessly without being appreciated, you're not just depleting yourself, you're encouraging disrespect. Your mistake wasn't in loving her, It was in forgetting that love without boundaries is often mistaken for weakness. But here's where the power shifts. You step back, not with bitterness, not with games, but with calm, quiet, clarity. You remove yourself from the center of her world and let the absence speak for you. And slowly she starts to feel it, the loss of peace, of grounding, of someone who made her feel safe. It's not your messages she misses, it's the version of herself she could only access when she was with you. Here's the opportunity. Remind her, not through words but through distance, that you were the rare thing she thought would always be around. Rarity creates value, and when you step away with grace and dignity, you reawaken her memory of what made you irreplaceable in the first place. What should you do? Withdraw your energy. Don't offer it to someone who's shown they've stopped appreciating it. Invest in yourself, your habits, your discipline, your path forward. Let your progress remind her of what she overlooked. You're not disappearing to punish her. You're vanishing to honor yourself. Psychologically, this creates an uncomfortable tension for her. What was once predictable is now unknown. The steady presence she took for granted is gone, and in that space the realization dawns. You were never just an option. You were the foundation. If you're done being taken for granted, speak it now. I was the gift. She just forgot to unwrap it. Number 5. Starve her ego, not yourself. When a breakup or distance begins, your instinct might be to express your pain, to show her how much she meant to you, to pour your heart out, hoping she'll see your vulnerability and come back. But here's the uncomfortable truth. That vulnerability, when unguarded, often doesn't soften her. It feeds her ego. Every message you send explaining yourself, every confession of how much you miss her, is ammunition. It doesn't make her rethink her decision. It reassures her that she still has control, that she still lives rent-free in your mind, and the longer you stay in that emotional loop, the longer you starve your own healing. The Stoics warned against giving others the tools to harm you emotionally. Epictetus taught, "No one is free who is not master of himself." When you break down in front of someone who no longer values your emotions, you're giving away your most sacred weapon, your self-restraint. And once that's gone, so is your power. So what's the solution? It's not emotional repression, it's emotional mastery. You don't stop feeling, you stop bleeding in front of people who only watch to see how deep the wound goes. Instead of chasing sympathy or clarity, you give her nothing, no reaction, no signal. Just calm indifference. Because the less you feed her need for control, the more it fades. Here's your opportunity. Preserve your peace. Your silence doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've taken back your emotional sovereignty. When she can no longer see her impact on you, she loses the thing she wanted most. Proof that she still matters. What should you do? The next time you want to text her a long message, don't. Channel that emotion into movement, into action. Journal it. Lift heavier. Work harder. Become so focused on rebuilding that you don't have time to explain your pain. You become untouchable, not by closing off your heart, but by protecting it from people who never earned access to it. Psychologically, this is a turning point. When you stop giving her the pain she feeds on, she begins to starve, not for your words, but for your energy. And that hunger, that's when she starts to miss what she thought she could manipulate. If you're done feeding someone who drained you, say it clearly. My pain is no longer her power. Number 6. When silence is the final word. There's a moment in every emotionally lopsided relationship when she throws something at you, not physically but emotionally. A jab, a passive-aggressive message, a vague post meant to provoke. She expects the usual script to follow. You react, you explain, you fall into the trap. But this time, you don't. This time, you offer nothing. No text, no defense, just silence. That's the moment the game changes. Most people misunderstand silence. They think it's avoidance or emotional immaturity. But the Stoics knew better. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." By staying calm, by choosing not to play the role she expects, you've elevated yourself above the noise. Your silence becomes a message she wasn't prepared to receive and can't ignore. Imagine expecting fireworks and receiving a still night instead. That absence of drama, that refusal to engage, forces reflection. She begins to question her own importance in your life. She wonders why the things that used to trigger you no longer touch you. And that's when power shifts, because you've stopped being reactive and started being unshakable. Here's the opportunity. When you don't react, you signal strength. You tell her without words that you're no longer emotionally entangled in her tactics. You're not cold, you're composed. You're not angry, you're detached. That distinction changes everything. No drama, no breakdown, just quiet clarity. What should you do? Practice presence without response. Let her words or actions float by like clouds in the sky. You don't chase them, you don't hold on to them, you observe, then move forward. Redirect your focus to something meaningful, a goal, a routine, a mission. That's where your energy belongs, not in an argument you've already outgrown. Psychologically, this silence is a mirror. When she tries to provoke and you don't respond, she's left only with herself, her behavior, her assumptions, her unmet expectations. And in that mirror, she's forced to confront what she's become and what she may have lost. If you've learned that silence says more than words ever could, claim your power below. My silence is my answer, and it's the only one she'll get. Number 7. The pull of detachment. Why distance creates desire. There's a certain irony in human nature. We want what we can't have, and we often ignore what's freely given. When you were fully available to her, emotionally open and ready to please, she may have lost sight of your value. But the moment you detach, not with resentment, but with quiet self-respect, you become something different. You're no longer predictable. You're no longer orbiting her. You become a mystery again. The Stoics taught that self-sufficiency is the foundation of peace. As Seneca said, the greatest wealth is a poverty of desires. When you stop needing her attention, her validation, her presence, you stop chasing. And the second you stop chasing, the energy shifts. She feels the loss of control. The attention that once fed her ego is gone, and in its place, uncertainty, curiosity, longing. Think of attraction like gravity. When you cling, you create resistance, but when you release, you create space, and space creates movement. Your emotional detachment isn't indifference, it's strength. It's the declaration that you're enough without her, and paradoxically, that's what pulls her back in, not because you demanded it, but because you became scarce in all the right ways. Here's the opportunity. Stop performing for her attention. Stop adjusting yourself to meet her emotional whims. Detach, not to punish, but to protect your peace. When she no longer feels your neediness, she begins to see your independence. And independence, when grounded in confidence, is magnetic. What should you do? Reclaim your center. Spend time with yourself. Do the things that bring you joy, not because they'll make her notice, but because they make you whole. The more fulfilled you become on your own, the more she'll feel the distance, and the more she'll want to close it. Psychologically, this reversal is powerful. Neediness repels because it screams insecurity, but detachment, it signals abundance. When she sees that you're not waiting, not aching, not watching, she'll wonder why. She'll start to remember the version of you that she once admired and realize you've become even more. If you've stopped chasing and started attracting, let it be known. I don't need her to want me, that's why she will. Number 8. Walking away without a word is the real win. In the heat of a breakup or emotional power play, the world expects an explosion, fights, tears, paragraphs of explanation. That's the script most people follow. But you take a different path. No pleading, no drama, no need to prove anything. You just walk away with composure, with self-respect, and without looking back. And that, right there, is the most powerful move you can make. The Stoics taught that real strength lies in our response, not in our noise. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Reject your sense of injury and the injury itself disappears." You don't owe her a final scene. You don't need to slam doors or burn bridges. You simply leave quietly, and that silence is what echoes the loudest. Think about it. When someone expects conflict and receives peace, they're left disarmed. She's prepared for the argument, the plea, the final chase. But when none of it comes, she's forced to sit with her own decisions. You've taken away the emotional chaos she once relied on and left her with the stillness of your absence. Here's the opportunity. Walking away calmly is not weakness, it's mastery. It says you know your worth. You're not interested in playing a role in her emotional theater. You've chosen clarity over chaos and growth over explanation. That composure will haunt her far longer than any angry outburst ever could. What should you do? Don't reach out. Don't try to craft the perfect final message. Instead, walk tall into the next chapter of your life. Focus on your next move, your next goal, your next version. The less you explain, the more they'll feel the weight of your presence, because you didn't beg for understanding, you embodied it. Psychologically, this moment becomes a pivot. Your silence turns into a mirror. She'll replay the last conversation, the last glance, trying to find closure, but there won't be any. Because you didn't leave to hurt her. You left to protect your peace. And peace, once found, is not something you ever abandon again. If you've learned to walk away with dignity, claim it now. I left quietly because peace never needs to shout. Number 9. You don't owe her closure, only yourself. After things fall apart, she might come back, not with love but with questions, not because she truly wants you back, but because she wants to soothe her own guilt. She'll say, "Can we talk?" or "I just want closure." But here's the truth. Closure is often just a final attempt to regain control. And you owe her nothing. Not a conversation, not a reason, not even a reply. The Stoics were clear on this. Your peace is not dependent on someone else's understanding. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." You don't need to explain why you left. You don't need to justify your silence, your absence, your growth, your refusal to engage. That is your closure. She may want words, but your calm departure already gave her the answer. Imagine this. A door closes, not slammed, not locked, just gently and permanently shut. She stands on the other side, knocking, hoping to keep a thread alive. But you've moved on. You've outgrown the dynamic, and because of that, you no longer need her validation to let go. Here's the opportunity. Instead of reopening old wounds with drawn-out conversations, you focus inward. You close the chapter quietly, completely. Closure, real closure, doesn't come from someone else's words. It comes from your decision to stop needing them in the first place. You've given her your time, your love, your patience. Now, you give yourself the final word, without saying anything at all. What should you do? Resist the urge to entertain false peace. If she reaches out for clarity, ask yourself, is this for healing or is it for control? Then move accordingly. Let your healing happen in your own space, at your own pace, with no need to relive the past. You don't owe her that replay. Psychologically, this is a boundary she wasn't expecting. By refusing to reopen a chapter you've already closed, you show self-respect at its highest level. She may feel unsettled, but that discomfort is hers to carry, not yours to fix. You're not avoiding closure, you've already found it. If you've stopped needing permission to move on, make it known. I found my peace in silence, not her explanation. Number 10. Be the storm she can't predict. When someone believes they've figured you out, your every reaction, your next move, they lose respect. You become familiar, routine, emotionally transparent. That's when manipulation begins. She pulls back to get your attention, delays responses to test your reaction, and plays emotional chess, knowing where you'll move before you even think it. But the moment you change the pattern, everything shifts. You stop reacting. You stop showing up where she expects you to. You act with calm, with control, with clarity, and suddenly you're no longer predictable, you're unreadable. You become the storm she didn't see coming. The Stoics valued unpredictability not for the sake of confusion, but for the sake of freedom. Marcus Aurelius said, "Be like the cliff against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it. This is your power. Calm on the surface, strength beneath. You're not lashing out, you're not playing games. You've simply stopped being her puppet and become your own man." Here's the opportunity: when she no longer knows what you'll do, when she can't feel your emotional leash, you become compelling again. Not because you're trying to impress her, but because you've become dynamic, independent, mysterious. You've stopped living in reaction and started moving with intention. What should you do? Break the old rhythm. If she expects a message, don't send one. If she expects jealousy, offer indifference. If she expects pursuit, step away. Don't do this to hurt her. Do it to reclaim your narrative. The less she can predict you, the more she's forced to reflect on her own behavior, her own decisions, and what she might have lost. Psychologically, unpredictability destroys the illusion of control. It removes the safety net that made her feel superior in the dynamic. Now, she doesn't know if you're over her, evolving past her, or no longer interested. And that ambiguity? That's where attraction lives. If you've stopped being predictable and started being powerful, declare it. She can't read me because I'm not written by her anymore. You began this journey thinking that silence meant losing her, but now you understand. The real power is in how you respond to the silence. It was never about her taking control. It was about you stepping into your own power. She didn't take what you had. She showed you how strong you truly are. If you're ready to keep transforming, like this video, subscribe and comment below. I am unstoppable. Stay strong. Keep building. Your future is yours to create.